Timothy, let's go to your trends,
Great.
which were shaking it up with accessories, mirrors and screens. We saw a lot of turquoise, which I think it's always fun to talk about color trends, and unexpected elements. So let's see those.
In these challenging economic times, people are looking for ways to refresh and update their home without having to spend a lot of money. This week at the market, we're seeing that one of the best ways that people can do that is through mirrors and screens. Here's a screen that actually combines a mirror as well as the wonderful lines of the screen, and it will give a huge impact to any room. Here's a terrific example of how a screen can totally transform a room. This screen has this wonderful horizontal stripe, but the back side is completely different with this tufting look, which lets you transform and change the room depending on your mood. And another great example of how mirrors can really give you a lot of impact without having to spend a lot of money is this group of 9 different mirrors. When you see when they're all put together, it creates this whole wall which will totally transform a room and really bring it to life. I like to follow design trends, so I make a point of going to furniture and trade shows all around the world. Just last week I was in Paris, and one of the things I noticed was a lot of turquoise. Here in Las Vegas this week, again, you're seeing turquoise as a major trend. Here you can see this beaded chandelier, this chair, the sofa, and the small occasional table. All leads me to believe that we're going to be seeing turquoise a lot in the months to come. And yet another example of where we're seeing turquoise here at the Las Vegas Mark is in these beautiful Murano glass vases. These vases would add a huge burst of color to any room. Another great example of where we're seeing a lot of turquoise here at the show is in this chandelier and this Murano glass lamp. Turquoise is really wonderful because it adds a bunch of punch to a room, particularly when it's mixed with light colors or white, as you can see here. It really gives a room a lot of fun. One of my overall design principles has always been mixing unexpected elements, whether it be taking something contemporary and putting it with something classic, taking something very rough and pairing it with something that's elegant and smooth, or even taking things from different cultures. When you put them together, you actually end up appreciating each piece that much more. So it's been really wonderful to see that that's one of the big trends here at the Las Vegas market. Here's an example where we take a very traditional wingback armchair, and yet it's been updated in a really wonderful way and paired with this very contemporary table. The end result is that you get a look that's fresh, modern, and elegant. Another really wonderful example of pairing unexpected elements is this table, this really wonderfully organically shaped raw wood table that's been paired with these chairs that are made out of the webbing of seat belts. And the combination of the two create a really wonderful experience. Another great example of mixing unusual elements is this chandelier, where it takes a very classic shape, but then it's interpreted with this contemporary raw wood and then the bare light bulbs. Mixing this quartz ball all together, it creates a chandelier that's a little unexpected, and it makes you smile. And it's another element that we're seeing here throughout the show.
Okay, love those love that screen, love those mirrors, love the chandelier.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I think that again, as I was saying, in these sort of economic times, people want to make a change. They want to do something that livens their space up and that doesn't cost a lot of money. And I think mirrors and screens are great ways to do that because they give a lot of punch. And again, any of the individual cost is not that great.
Those price points were all so reasonable, and they were huge. I mean, you could really get creative with them and do a lot with them.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that that whole wall of mirrors was less than $1,000, and it's, I mean, that could make a room.
Yes.
So I think that's really one of the interesting things is to see how elements like that, how simple things like a mirror, like a screen, how it can totally transform a space in a very powerful way, but in a very inexpensive way.
It changes it in an architectural way because the mirror opens it up, the screen divides the space, and it's still flexible. You can move it around and create a different emotion to the space by just changing its position.
It's interesting. I actually have, I think mirrors do wonderful things for rooms because they bring light in, they do work in lots of sculptural, architectural ways. And I actually have a hard time sometimes selling them to clients because they think, well, I don't want another mirror in this room, because they're thinking of it as something that you look into to see how you're looking. I don't think of mirrors that way. I think mirrors really are a part of the space. They're part of the art. They're part of the sculpture of the room, as opposed to something that you're just looking to see how you're looking.
Really, it's an old art in how do you put a mirror in the room and not look at yourself into it. Because sometimes it's not just really what you want to do. So,
when we saw that great table, the wood table with the seatbelt chairs, which you'll all see, it's so striking and visual. Laura, I think you said something like, we just would never have seen a juxtaposition like this, sort of center stage out front, normal, here you are, a few years ago. So it's really exciting to be, and I'm sure to you, to see that we've kind of come to a point where those two can happily coincide and be, and that chair with a little table next to it, completely different materials.
And you had mentioned confidence, and I think seeing that feels like very confident design to me, and it struck me as I was watching this again that, you know, it's less about something being right together and more about the proportions being matched and it really just being personal. And I love that you picked that, because it's an unusual combination, but it just totally works.
Yeah, I think that the winged armchair, because again, it's such a classic traditional shape, and yet to see the way that it was updated and made much more contemporary, so that it really is got a real fresh look and something that would be equally successful in a very contemporary home or a very traditional home.
Well, it's about a dialogue about periods, about shapes, and if everybody's in the room is the same, it's not as exciting as if you get a mixed crowd of people in the space and they all have something different to say to each other. That's the same thing with furniture. It's, you know, something traditional next to something contemporary. There's tension there, and that makes it a much better space. And you actually end up appreciating
each piece more for what it is when you see that contrast together. Again, whether it's rough or smooth or elegant and something that you found on the street, putting those together, I think, makes it all much richer.
And I encourage all of you, even if, and I try to do this all the time myself when I'm seeing a room or a piece that maybe it's not my style, maybe I'm not going to have and maybe I'm not a wood person and a seatbelt chair person, but there's something about that I can take and translate to something else. You know, I never thought of, you know, that rawness of light with white that's modern. So maybe I take other pieces that are more my style, but that gives me the confidence to do that. So even if something isn't what you love, there's going to be something there that hopefully will encourage you to apply it in other ways, in other contexts with your clients or for yourself. Thank you, Timothy, Laura, Vincent. We really hope that you all have as much fun at Market as we did the past couple of days. Thank you, everyone online, for joining us. Thank all of you. Have a great next couple of days. Thank you, guys.
Thank
it was really
you.
fun.
Thank you.